Welcome back to the second hour of Peace of Mind, listeners. Today, Brenda, Nichole, and I are going to discuss back-to-school health concerns for the whole family. One of the topics that we're going to hit early on today is backpacks. You know, Brenda and Nichole, folks just don't realize that backpack safety and inappropriate backpacks or how much back pain that they can genuinely cause children and actually lead to numbness, tingling, and radiating pain down the arm. Nichole, help the listeners out there understand this backpack thing, and how should they go about finding a backpack for their child?
Perfect. Well, the biggest thing is you have to realize that backpacks can't be too heavy for kids. They have to be worn on both shoulders. Anything that's worn just on one shoulder is really going to lead to long-term muscular imbalances. And backpack safety for the children starting as early as you possibly can is crucial for preventing long-term problems down the road. Bad with kids today is to wear their backpacks really low, and that's really the exact opposite of what the kids need to be doing. They need to be cinched up high and tight on the shoulders, again on both sides. You know, the other thing too can just be studying. When kids are studying and reading and doing their homework and sitting at their desk, they tend to slouch over, drop that head forward, and that's going to also lead to a lot of neck discomfort. So
problem, you know, one thing that we'd like kids or adults to consider in the school environment, if possible, if it's allowed, sitting on a stability ball is always a better option than sitting on a desk chair, because it forces you to use the core and postural muscles of the body, and it forces you to sit more correctly. And the other component is, if that's not an option for an adult in a desk environment or a child in a school environment, you could also consider taking a small pillow, like off the couch, and using it as a lumbar support.
But I have to say I was impressed. We started our daughter in the Boise School District in kindergarten this year, and they have balls for those kids to sit on. And
really?
Yes, so it is becoming something that's infiltrating into the school district, so I'm very happy.
And who should be using them? All students, or?
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's really a wonderful thing across the board, and really it just matters on the size of the individual.
Yeah.
Usually, the children are usually going to be in 35 to 45 centimeter stability balls, and adults are going to fluctuate based on height anywhere between 55 centimeter and 75 centimeter stability balls. And if folks are going to look into doing this for themselves or for their kids, we also recommend that we make sure that these are in fact burst-proof balls. Because years ago, when I started personal training people on stability balls, they used to pop and burst and send you, if you were sitting on it, slamming your body down, sacrum into the ground, which can be a real problem. But now there's several manufacturers out there with these burst-proof balls that would slowly deflate instead of more or less just collapse.
Do you have a...
Welcome back to the second hour of Peace of Mind. Folks, you can give us a shout if you have any health-related questions or concerns. Give us a call at 208-465-0730. Brenda, we're going to now shift gears and focus a little bit on childhood nutrition. I think that this is something we really want to spend some time on, because in this era, there's still so much myth about what is right or what is wrong, so to speak, associated with kids and nutrition.
As well.
So following along those lines, Nichole, for packing our kids' lunches and snacks, what are some of the things that you'd recommend there?
The best things that you can do is going to be fresh fruits, vegetables, and then, like I said, the protein sources, sandwiches, and anything that you can get with protein in there. And then again, as much fresh fruits and vegetables as you can to get those kids as many of the fresh vitamins and minerals that they need to sustain their function.
Absolutely. Almond butter on these fruits or vegetables is fantastic as well. What we're trying to shift these kids away from is the processed foods. We talk about the chemicalization of America. We talk about leading things that lead to ADD, ADHD. We know certain chemicals in processed foods really contribute to this process, whether it's artificial sweeteners, aspartame, or Splenda, which is sucralose, whether it's monosodium glutamate, MSG, whether it's the processed wheat derivatives. We're just trying to give these kids good, healthy, whole foods, and we want the parents to try to make a little extra effort associated with that, because a fruit roll-up is not an apple. Nichole, what about childhood supplementation? What should parents consider in this world of supplements? What's good? What's bad? What do you think works?
Well, the biggest thing is most of the supplements that you're going to find at the grocery stores are going to be what we call synthetic supplements, meaning they're made from chemicals to try to mimic what you would find in food. And so the most important thing is to find a good whole food supplement for those kids so that it's something that their body will recognize and absorb. And if you get a good quality supplement, it's really going to help the kids' immune systems going through cold and flu season.
What I want folks to consider is, hey, we are about at the end of the summer here, unfortunately. Kids and adults are back to school and back to work, and we're not getting that sunlight. And so we need that vitamin D to maintain healthy immune systems. And one of the better food sources of it is going to be the cod liver oil. So you get a two-pronged benefit from consuming a high-grade cod liver oil like Carlson's. You get the vitamin D, and you get the essential fats for the heart and the brain function. So I really want folks to consider that. Another entity that we use for the vitamin D to bolster the immune system is a Cataplex D product that's very inexpensive in tablet form, a whole food vitamin D that we carry at the office just immediately. Nichole, when we're dealing with ear infections, when we're dealing with colds and flus, what are some of the agents that you recommend folks use to destroy these viral and or fungal infections?
Well, there's several different things that you can do. With the ear infections, what most people don't understand is that the ear infection is on the inside of the eardrum. It's actually pressure from the sinuses backing up into the ears. So keeping those sinuses cleared out is going to be huge. Telling your kids, don't sniff, you need to blow your nose, get it out, mechanical removal. Using products such as ocean spray to help flush out those sinuses, just mechanically removing this gunk will really help keep it from building into an infection. My practice, if somebody comes in congested, is just some eucalyptus oil. It's great, again, at clearing out those sinuses. Don't put it directly on the skin, but if at night I'll put it on the kids' pillows or on their jammies right by their chest, and that will just help open up those sinuses and get that stuff out. You can use it in the shower, get those hot steam baths. That'll get those sinuses cleared out.
You can also diffuse it. You know, that's what I do with my doTERRA all the time, is I diffuse it. It's great.
Yeah.
Smart. And then the other really inexpensive approach to keeping a healthier mouth and healthier ears is just using good old-fashioned hydrogen peroxide for less than $1 a bottle. And the way that we recommend people use this with their ears, adults or children, over the fall and winter months, once or twice a week, if you just lie on your side on your pillow and put about 1/3 of a capful of the peroxide into the ear, let it set in the ear for 30 seconds to a minute, and then just sit upright and allow it to run out. But that hydrogen peroxide will kill microbes at the source before they have a chance to take root into actual infection, but it also has another benefit of help drying up the earwax accumulation.
Yeah. And the last thing that I have to throw in there is get adjusted. It really does help the immune system, and I'm not saying that just because I am a chiropractor, but it really does help stimulate the immune system. You can drain those sinuses out just from a simple adjustment that way.
Brenda, one of the directions we're going to shift the show now is to ADD, ADHD. We want to talk a little bit about the approach as a therapist and or Nichole as a chiropractor neurologist, what you think these kids should be eating for one, and then some of the other protocols you'd suggest to help their drugs. Which, you know, folks, if you're not familiar with Ritalin and Ritalin derivatives, these are class 2 narcotics. It's in the same drug class as cocaine. It's something that I'm really not fond of parents keeping themselves or their kids on. Nichole, what are some of the ways that you're able to help the adult take the child off the drug? What's the process involved?
Well, there's several different things involved with something like this. One is almost always anybody with ADD, ADHD, or autism is dietary problems. Almost always they have a diet very high in food additives and artificial flavors, and
they crave sugars. They crave carbohydrates.
So you've got to pull all of that out of the diet, because they are having really an allergic reaction to these additives. There are over 3,000 food additives in our packaged processed foods in the grocery store. So avoiding ADHD ADHD is that it's a hyper excitement of the nervous system. Their nervous system is just going on overdrive, and so we've got to do some things to calm these kids down. Find, again, you know, the eye exercises that you can do with the kids, and we can give you more information about that in our office. But you've got to get these kids calmed down. You've got to get their nutrients coming in the proper order, and you know, also getting them adjusted. Almost all the kids that I see with ADD and ADHD have a lot of pressure at the upper part of their neck pushing on their brainstem, and a lot of times
absolutely. And the activities, getting these kids involved with music, drumming is fantastic for kids with ADD, ADHD, and we will explain that to folks in office. Beating a metronome, tricks like putting an iPad in one ear to stimulate the brain. You know, there's all these little tricks that you can do to bring about a change over a period of time. You know, Nichole, as we were getting ready to leave the second hour here, can you remind folks just some of the staples nutritionally that they should have at the home for colds, flus, brain development, etc.?
Absolutely. Again, retouch on hydration. We've got to keep these kids hydrated. We've got to keep them washing their hands. Lots of fresh fruits and vegetables and high protein foods. Again, it doesn't have to be meat. Graham crackers, oatmeal, peanut butter, nuts. There's so many other different sources. Milks.
Quinoa
Quinoa
is really good. It's high in protein. You can make it, add a little bit of honey and cinnamon, and you got a really good thing.
Walnuts,
Absolutely.
almonds,
whole grain rices, and
organic
cheese.
free-range eggs.
Eggs. There's so many different sources of protein, but we've got to get protein into these kids because they're growing. And so you've got to find ways to sneak it in. And one thing that we do with our kids is we call it blender juice, but we make them fruit smoothies every day. And we drink them throughout the day. The kids drink them throughout the day. It's a great way to sneak in whole food protein powders and spinach.
Yogurts.
We put lots of spinach in there and trick our kids into drinking their vegetables. And that's what our kids really know as juice, is what we make in the blender. And then it's all whole food.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about earlier, that juice that we buy in the stores, being all pasteurized, even at 100% juice, is mostly just sugar.